Welcome to Missing Briefs, where we unveil the untold business stories of lawyers, triumphs, and their trials. I'm Dominic, the founder and owner of Elevate Business Coaching, a Boston-based business coaching and consulting firm specializing in working with law firms and their lawyers to build, manage, and grow successful practices.
And I'm Bob Furlong. I'm a certified exit planner here at the Bullfinch Group just outside of Boston. I help law firms create programs to attract and retain their best associates, and this creates a clear path for their succession and eventual retirement.
So Missing Briefs, what's it all about? Well, it's about exploring and narrating the compelling stories or briefs of lawyers who have experienced significant challenges and successes in the business of law. What was their gap? What were they missing? What do they wish that they'd known? Well, it's our pleasure today to welcome Chris Earley. Chris is the founder and owner of Earley Law Group Injury Lawyers. Founded in 2006, Earley Law Group Injury Lawyers has won numerous accolades for their work, specializing in helping injury victims and their families. The firm has offices in Boston and Hingham. In addition to owning the law firm, Chris is also an author, a podcaster, a philanthropist, and I would even go as far as to say he is an influencer. If you are in the Boston area, you'll see his billboards. Call Earley before it's too late. Chris, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much, Dominic. Truly appreciate you having me on this. Thank you so much. It's an honor.
So, Chris, you have an interesting story and work with in an interesting practice area. So let's get started by going back in time. When did you decide you wanted to become an attorney?
Well, I sort of just stumbled into this field. I didn't know any lawyers growing up. I never thought of really going to law school. And so when I was in college, honestly, Bob, I didn't know what I wanted to do after college. So I thought, okay, I can hide out in law school for 3 years and go through that gauntlet and try to figure stuff out. So did that, got out of law school and realized, yeah, this is a good space. I'd like to be here. This is a rewarding, gratifying profession. And so I couldn't get a job, frankly, so I was forced to hang a shingle. So the rest is history. That was 20 years ago. So I'm a big believer in stumbling into things, and hopefully, the more we stumble, the more I find we succeed. That's been my story of stumbling.
And and why did you choose the area of law that you chose to work with people who have been injured?
Yeah, so when I hung my shingle, I was just hustling like crazy. I had no network. I had $0. I was broke as a joke. I needed to get business. And I started to acquire clients online. And I met a client. Her name is Maria, and she was from a country in South America. She was a beautiful soul, like a beautiful person, just a good human being. She helped the blind, teacher for the blind. She had a case, and I settled the case. It was decent money. But it was the impact on her that told me that I was doing purposeful things here. Because personal injury lawyers can get a bad rep, and I was very sensitive to that. She said to me, with the money that we were able to recover, she could buy a home in her native country, and that was life changing for her. So I thought, this is pretty cool stuff. I could actually make a living and actually help people, like boots in the ground, helping people out. So that's where I kind of fell in love with this niche of law. Yeah.
So Chris, if I'm kind of to play that back, you had no intention when you were growing up of ever being a lawyer, right? You kind of stumbled into it. You started out there, no money, broke, etc. So you probably had this period where you went to law school and then you got your first job. But I want to hone in more specifically on when you made that decision to start your own practice, to go out on your own. I think it was 2006. What were some of the immediate challenges that you faced when you went out there hanging your own shingle?
I needed to pay my rent. I needed to figure stuff out. I literally, Dominic, I was starting from like zero, and I'm not embellishing. I had nothing. I didn't develop contacts in law school. I didn't network. I didn't develop any real professional relationships. I was just had my head in the books for 3 years.
Right.
And so I just want to highlight this to the listener because I think this will resonate. Us entrepreneurs are okay with a little bit of turbulence. And my story, I believe you read my book, Dominic,
Yep.
my memoir. I'm from a school of serious turbulence growing up, and so hanging a shingle wasn't so scary for me. But the turbulence is sort of comfortable. I've discovered, but I found that I just had to, when you have to do something, you have to do something. So you have to eat, you got to pay your rent. I was living in a cruelly small studio apartment in Beacon Hill, in Boston, and I just had to figure out the bills. And with personal injury, it's about eat what you kill, right? I
Mhm.
wasn't getting paid by the hour, so I had to really, find clients and resolve those cases for those clients. And so it just sort of snowballed, right? But it was hard as hell, to be totally honest with you. It was really tough.
So you kind of paint that picture in your book as well. It's like you start at ground zero, you get nothing, no work, no network, no money, a significant other who is, at least for a while anyway, willing to go along for the ride.
Thank
Uh,
God.
I mean, how did you start, like, with no network? Like, how did you build that network quickly?
Um, I To be honest with you, I wasn't concerned about, I wasn't really networking with lawyers enough. And I would highlight that to the listener. You have to really network your butt off. I wasn't doing that enough. I was sort of arrogant, like I'm a lawyer, I'm gonna get cases. People come to me. I was slowly humbled to the fact that you have to like, get this work. And so I wasn't really focused on attorney networking as much those early years, as much as I
Mhm.
was on digital marketing. There was no social media, but blogging was a big new development online. So I was really leading into blogging, acquiring backlinks, SEO, because it was a new frontier. You could get clients
Mhm.
online. This is the days of yellow page advertising. That was normal and expected of you to advertise in the yellow pages. So that was still there, but just slowly, just grinding and getting cases online and taking anything that other attorneys would take from me. I was doing attorney networking. It wasn't like I was
Yeah.
some hermit, but not enough as opposed to what I do now. And so just slowly taking those bad cases from lawyers and really like almost begging those cases because I needed work. I was like, I'll take your tough cases,
Yeah.
and pay those lawyers a referral fee. So just slowly but surely. Then you mentioned my wife. I met my wife, and things really started to get good because she really believed in me, and that's where we sort of reached
Mhm.
levels of growth that, but for her, I wouldn't have any semblance of what I have today, professionally or
Yeah.
personally, frankly.
So the story that I'm hearing is, don't judge me on where I am today. It didn't start out that way. There was a lot of figuring out uh,
Totally.
of
So,
stuff along the way,
so much.
which is interesting, because sometimes we do that. We're looking at people where they are today, but it
Yeah.
wasn't always that way. You had to figure things out, be open to stuff, take cases that probably weren't ideal because you had these, you had to eat, you had to have, finances, the whole financial part. So you weren't probably as fussy as
Not at
you
all.
know. Uh,
No.
Fussy's not the right word, but
Oh,
I
that's a good
get
word. I couldn't be
you.
fun. I didn't even know what it meant. I was like, I'll just, take whatever you can get. But I'm thinking of, I don't know, aviation turbulence. I'm thinking jumping out of the plane, like an entrepreneur just jumps out. They jump off
Yeah.
the plane or jump off the cliff. And when you do that, I feel like you have to figure it out. Like you're forced to. But I would encourage another, thing I want to highlight for the listeners, like if you have
Mhm.
that itch to hang a shingle, or if you're going through a lot of turbulence yourself, maybe you've already hung a shingle, like you have to sort of just figure it out, and you will figure it out if you force yourself to. I'm a big believer in burning the boats. Like I had
Yeah.
no options. I just like I didn't have any boats to burn, frankly. But
Yeah.
I would, burn the nothing. So, but I'm a big believer in you got to sometimes force yourself into hard situations, and you're going to be fine. Just believe in yourself, and you're going to figure it out.
Yeah. So if I'm going to take away one snippet, one sound bite, it's like you've got to burn the boats. There's no safety net. You'll figure it out. It's problem solving. So burn the boats, and then secondly, because you didn't have any boats to burn, even if you wanted to burn them. So
Which is a blessing. I had nothing to lose.
yeah,
It's like, geez, got nothing to lose here. Let's go.
yeah, yeah. Uh, so that's helpful. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you about, and it's funny because I was on a plane. You were talking about turbulence. I was on a plane yesterday, flying back 10-hour flight. I got off. I'm on the Southeast Expressway, and it's raining. And I look up and I see there's Chris Earley's billboard on the side, which is a reminder that we'd be talking today. But
And I should share a really quick story about that billboard.
sure,
My wife and I, years ago, I needed cases. So one Saturday, we went to that parking lot across the street. Again, this is the broke era, had nothing, right? Nothing, but except a wife who believed in me. We spent a Saturday flyering that parking lot. I think it's called South Bay or something. I should,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right, South Bay parking lot. And we flyered cars, thinking that was to generate, personal injury cases. I don't know what I was doing, frankly. We came back after lunch, all those flyers were on the ground. Okay. Fast forward to about a month ago, my wife and I were talking about the billboard, that we have there. That's one of ours. But she said, "Hey, don't forget, we were across the street flyering, that parking lot one day. So be grateful." And I put my head down. I'm like, "Holy smokes!" Like, and that gratitude hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
encourage the listener. I'm sure the listener already is, but always be really grateful. Like gratitude is what
Mm.
gives you purpose and actually will help you grow more and more.
Yeah.
And you will pass people who are not grateful and just unsatisfied. I think the more grateful you are, the more success you can have. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. It makes total sense. And things seeing how far you've come is very motivational. So kind of
Oh,
like always remembering, uh, you know,
so important.
because nobody gets everything right all the time. Success doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey, but say, okay, well, maybe that didn't go well, but hey, look, you made progress each time and it compounds over time. Um,
Absolutely.
so one day
Absolutely.
you're pasting flyers, the next, fast forward several years later, you're up in the billboard, but it didn't
Yeah. But
happen.
it's hard stuff, right? Like you just described, it's super hard. Like it's as hard as hell, this stuff. And I think, guys, as you grow, things actually can get harder. Now, the problems that I have today are a lot better than the problems that I had when I had nothing. Granted, I'm grateful for that. But they say new level, new devil.
Yeah.
So I think the entrepreneur has to be sensitive to as you grow, things get harder. You have to develop and get tougher because the challenges are greater, I
Yeah.
find sometimes.
So
That's what I've
what
discovered. But it's all
what are
worth
the
it.
what are the challenges you have now, almost 20 years in? What are they?
Well, it's like different levels, like operational challenges. For a while it was just me. It was just me running the law firm, answering, making the coffee, running to the post office, going to court. But now it's like, okay, how do you manifest the vision in your head for how you want your business to operate?
Hmm.
For that to take shape. That's really hard, I've discovered, is because now we've up to about 20 people. And so keeping the wheels, tightly screwed on the bus is tough, if you will. So those are the challenges. It's like bigger challenges that I'm so grateful for, but it's the operational, just trying to get the vision out of your head and onto the ground and I'm
Hmm.
grateful to have amazing team members that are with me and my vision, and helping me um, succeed because we succeed together. So I'm really grateful for that.
Great.
So Chris, you started your firm 2006. You know, my math tells me that's almost 19 years, right? And you're
Yeah.
thankful for what you've accomplished and so on. And this is my favorite question for our guests. So knowing what you now know, what would you have done differently? Three things you would
Oh,
have done differently. Now that you have all of this wisdom, what would you have done differently if you could go back in time?
well, this will resonate with you. I would have gotten coaching much earlier. When I started to get coaching, my career really went up. That helped me a lot. I wasn't geeking out enough. I wasn't a student of the business of law enough. And now it's like, commonplace, your business of law, it's a little bit more in vogue. But like back then, there were other law firm operators that got ahead because they were thinking more like a business owner. So I would have gotten coaching quicker. I would have joined a mastermind more quicker.
Mhm.
I would have run like a business quicker looking back because that's what this is. I don't
Yeah.
care if you're in a
Hmm.
barber shop, um, plumbing service, law firm. It's a no same deal. It's a business for profit,
Hmm.
right? And it should be approached that way. No,
Mhm.
no exception. I wasn't, but they didn't teach us that in law school. It's like, no, like, this is like no, it's a business like any other. So I wish I got on that bus much earlier in my career.
So you wish that you'd been a student of the business of law, number
Yeah.
one. Maybe joined a mastermind where you're learning from your peers together.
Yes.
And then the third one was really running it as a business. That mindset. earlier. And it's funny because sometimes people will say to me, I should be running my firm like a business. And I always say to them, what do you mean like a business? It is a business.
Right.
But I don't
Yes,
know why, but people say that, but it is. It's true.
it's
This is,
true.
you know.
They brainwash us in law school, so we have to undo that.
Well,
Seriously.
it's you have you and other lawyers, you're trained a certain way, right?
Yeah,
And it doesn't always, even business lawyers, you talk about the business law, but not so much how that will, what can you learn from that for your own business, right?
absolutely. Yeah, it is a business. Even if you're a sole
Especially
proprietor,
with
it's a business.
Yeah.
especially with 20 team members, you have to run it like a
Mm.
business.
Yeah, or else you're in trouble if you don't. You better have some structure there.
So I'm sure you get speaking of business, I'm sure you get business referred to you by other professionals, advisors, attorneys. How do you like to be introduced to the client? What's the process that you like to be connected to the client or
Well,
prospect?
yeah, I approach this whole deal like servant leadership, and that's how I approach my business and my relationship. So, like, how can I serve that referred client the best? So, I want to speak the language of my referring attorney, referral partner, whoever it is, referring professional. So, whatever I want them to look good, I want them to look really good. So, whatever they want to do in terms of an introduction works for me. So that's all I like to do. Okay, how can I help you look good, and how can I help your client the best promote their legal interest?
Sure. And for people that might be listening or watching this podcast who might have questions about your practice area, what's the best way for them to directly get in touch with you?
I'm pretty easy to find. I'm all over LinkedIn. I'll give my cell phone if that's okay. Happy to
Sure, go
connect.
ahead.
Yeah.
Because I really get juiced up talking to people that are maybe behind me in the journey. They're challenged by the same stuff that I have and had. So my cell phone, please call me. I'd love to talk with you. 617-956-2501. Again, 617-956-2501. I believe in helping, and we should all help each other grow. So I encourage anyone, call me anytime.
Great.
Well, terrific having you on the program, Chris. You are a unicorn. I work and I see and I come across a lot of lawyers, uh, but I love what you have been able to build,
Thank you. I
and
appreciate
also
it a lot.
not just build business wise, but the whole ethos and the thing about I'm a servant leader. It's not about me. It's about them. How do I make things easier, better? It's so interesting. So I congratulate you on what you've built your firm to what it is today, and I look forward to seeing what's in the future.
Oh,
For you
very
as well.
grateful to you both.
Thanks so much,
Appreciate it.
and I'd
Sure.
encourage anybody who's listening today, who's hearing Chris speak and wondering, can I do that? It's easy for Chris Earley. I'd encourage you, to reach out to Chris. If that would be valuable to you, and there's a lot that we can all learn from Chris's story and what he's been able to put together. So, Chris, once again, thanks so much for having. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show today.
You guys are great. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate this. I'm humbled. Thank you so much, guys.
So, Missing Briefs, where we unveil the untold business stories of lawyers, their triumphs and their trials. If you have an interesting story to tell about the triumphs and trials of owning your firm, or perhaps someone else that has an interesting story, get in touch with us. I'm Dominic Grew,
And I'm Bob Furlong.
and until we meet again.